Welcome to Cohesive Friendship Unit. I'm Chris. I'm here with Jeremy,
Yo, what's up?
Jake,
Hey guys.
and Brian.
What's going on?
And we're going to be talking about the Switch tags. Dun, dun, dun. But real quick, if you like us, if you like this video, please throw us a like. We're doing a giveaway every 10 subscribers. All you have to do is be subscribed. You can check out our channel page for more details. But again, all you have to do is be subbed. We're giving away a Steam code every 10 subs. Alright guys, so here's the deal. Right? This idea of the Switch tax has been around since the Switch came out, really, basically, or within a few months. The idea is that Switch games cost more than other games on competing platforms, and this is especially the case when you take into consideration that the Switch generally has lower fidelity games, like the graphical quality is lower, etc., etc. One of the bigger examples of this was Nintendo with Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, of all things. That came out in way back in the day on the Wii U, and on the Wii U it was $50. It re-released on the Switch as a port like 4 years later, and they charged $60 for it with really no added content. And everyone was like, why? This is dumb. So fast forward a bit, and there's been a few other third-party examples of this, but here we are with Resident Evil. Capcom is re-releasing 3 Resident Evil games in just a few months, one of them being Resident Evil 4. That's the example we're going to use. If you try to buy Resident Evil 4 on the PS4 or the Xbox One or the PC, it's $20. For some weird reason, the Switch is $30. And it's literally no different. Like, there's no added content, there's no it's called the same thing. So that kind of begs the question, like, why is the Switch tax happening? Should it be happening? What's going on? Let's dive into it.
Well, I mean, I have my thoughts, but
Thought them out.
So
Well,
they said that pretty much the reason they cost more is because the cartridges cost a lot to mass produce. Which
But Resident Evil
I don't
4
know.
isn't being
Bullshit.
released physically.
yeah, so the rule that Nintendo's put in place apparently is that if you're releasing your game in a physical media, your digital copy has to cost the same so that they don't upset brick and mortar sellers, which, fine, I guess that makes sense, but I don't
but
know.
But
you're
Resident
not.
Evil 4 isn't being released physically. This is a digital game.
Yeah, and I think that that's extended a lot to just them saying, oh, we can release all our games to be a little bit more expensive, because clearly it hasn't slowed down anyone from buying Switch games. And
What do
we
you think,
talked about this a
Brian?
little bit before, and I think they have a captive audience.
What's your
I
theory?
think they either want or more likely need more money, because even if they're not losing money on the Switch, their profit margins with that are not what they were with like anything they've
The
sold
Wii.
before. Realistically, yeah. Well, I mean, the Wii's, I guess, a good parallel because it had for its time really advanced like sensors and stuff in it and stuff that no other console could do in that regard. But they sold like they sold those things like hotcakes, and the Switch I think is just too much of a niche product to justify the huge numbers that they would have to move to make the things be as profitable as they want, just the base unit by itself.
They sold 32 million units in 2 years.
How many Wii's did they sell?
They are outselling the Wii at the moment.
In terms of rate or in terms of numbers sold?
Rate, not numbers sold.
Numbers sold is what's important here.
Well, yeah. So you
Because
think
the-
that Nintendo is incentivizing publishers to raise the price?
Or they're putting some sort of
Additional, like,
tax or fee on top of it that causes the game to be a higher cost.
So
or they could just be completely off base with what, because Resident Evil 4 is not a new game.
it came out in 2005.
It's not worth $60.
$30.
Oh, $30? It's still not worth $30. Like,
Well, that's the thing. If you go to buy, like when it launched on the PS4, it was $20.
so you could buy a GameCube and Resident Evil 4. Did it come out on the game? It came out.
Yeah,
on the
it came
GameCube,
out
right?
on the GameCube.
You could buy both of those things for the same price as the digital download.
That's not entirely true. That's not entirely true, but
Not,
No, that would definitely be more than $60.
It'd be tricky, but regardless. So
I think the other thing here is that as we've also pointed out many times, the Switch isn't really competing with those other three platforms. Like PC and especially Xbox and PlayStation are directly competing, right? Like, there's no incentive really to buy a game if it's being released on all those platforms on one over the other. So, the price is a little lower. Whereas with Switch, the case is either that if you're buying Resident Evil 4 for the Switch, you're either buying it because A, you don't have another way to get it, like you don't have a PC or an Xbox or a PlayStation. So then, as you said at the beginning, it's a captive audience. You have no alternative. Or you're buying it for the Switch because you want to play it on the go, and then you can't have that experience with a different console. So basically, I think that they just, they're not a non-for-profit. They're a company, and I think they can squeak $10 out of people for either not having an alternative or for wanting to pay for that experience.
So I think that the market of people that want to play Resident Evil 4 or any of these old games really on the go for extended periods of time is diminishingly small. Like,
they've been selling well, dude. Like that was my
right, but
that's my
not
theory.
what
But like
that's
Skyrim sold a lot for the Switch.
So my theory, and I guess Jake thinks that our theories kind of overlap a bit, so maybe you can elaborate, is that it's kind of like, if not that you ever be able to ask a publisher this, but if you could ask a publisher, hey, why is there this quote Switch tax? Why does Skyrim cost $60 when the special edition, this isn't even the special edition, but when the special edition launched on PS4 and Xbox One, it was not $60 in PC. And the response is, well, you're kind of getting not two games in one, but you're able to play it portably and docked, and that's something that you have to pay for. Like, just because you bought the Switch and that allows you to play handheld and docked, this is like an added feature that is part of the Switch. So you buy Resident Evil 4 on the PS4, you gotta play it on your TV. You buy it on the Switch, you pay that extra $10, we're gonna let you undock it, is kind of how I see it.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not inconceivable that you could come out with a device that is similar in that aspect to the Switch, though. It does not make it.
Oh no.
At this point, it's unique, but it's not unique enough to drive that price point, I think.
New iPhones are more powerful than the Switch.
Yeah, I don't think you're necessarily. I mean, you're definitely not getting two games in one. I mean, it's one game. It's just a console that you can pick up and move. Man, I don't pay extra for my mobile games just because I can either play them on my table or I can carry them on the train. So, but I think so there's definitely the cost of cartridges. I don't know what the difference between making a disc versus a cartridge is, but that's a load of crap. I'm gonna go right out. I've had a problem with that since Chris fucking said it. I'm sorry to interrupt. No. Okay, the Switch cartridge, right? Stop me if I'm wrong here. Is more or less an SD card. It's flash memory in a very similar package to an SD card.
Yeah.
So what they're doing to manufacture those is they manufacture a bunch of blanks and then they flash the game onto the individual ones. They put a sticker on it and they put it in a box and sell it.
I do know that Nintendo charges more. They sell like SKUs of carts. They sell like an 8 gig cart, 1632 cart, and I know that they do cost more the more data you
right.
use.
Well, it's a proprietary format. They're gonna do that. But here's the thing. When you make a CD or a DVD, like when they make, Lethal Weapon or whatever, they actually, for the original ones, they actually make a physical stamping die that stamps out the CDs. Like they're mechanically made. They're not burned like a CD you make in your computer. And the costs associated with that are huge. I could see like, it costs too much to make the physical media. If you were making discs and you were using a process like that where you have a huge amount of tooling that goes into it, but that's not what they're doing. I can almost guarantee that. That's bullshit.
Because with a flash thing, you just need the ROM and you can flash it on.
Right,
But
you
with
just
the-
have a big
yeah.
you have a big thing, and some guy just puts cards into it all day long, and you're done. You can put whatever game you want on it. You don't have to make a physical master that will then stamp out discs.
That's a good point. People aren't talking about that.
People aren't talking about this enough.
Well,
This
number
is
3
the
will
sort of-
surprise
This should be
you.
on CNN. It'll be breaking news.
Jake, what were you saying?
Breaking news over the newswire.
So there's definitely costs associated with releasing on the Switch. I mean, yeah, I mean, I can't speak to like the process like Brian can, but if Nintendo is selling, I mean, they could mark up their cards however they want. I mean, people have to release on what Nintendo is selling. But additionally, I think there's a lot of studios out there that just do not have the infrastructure to release on Nintendo's platform easily. I mean, every major publisher and developer has experience releasing on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. The Switch platform is kind of new, so there's definitely some costs associated with porting to that system.
So you think there could be like R&D costs, like development costs? It's not just a
Yeah.
straight port. But yeah.
I think there are valid additional costs that come with releasing on the Switch that are not associated with the other consoles, but I think a lot of that is in the house of Nintendo just charging more because they know they can.
So for games like Doom, I would tend to agree with you because that was outsourced to another developer, Panic Button, and they spent a lot of time optimizing everything. And if you look at their Wolfenstein 2 port, they actually changed some parts of the game. Very small, but they'll like put a wall up in places where they couldn't render something impressive in the background. So there was actually some development work that went into that, which could contribute to the cost of the game. Resident Evil 4, I don't know. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze? That's a
I
Wii
think it's
U
just
port.
money.
Yeah, but that's
I think it's just money in
Nintendo.
their pocket.
Yeah, they're cashing in on the fact that people will pay a premium for Nintendo games.
Well, the fact that it goes up by like essentially a flat amount is that's kind of a red flag to me.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
some sort of licensing thing, I think it ties into problems with working with Nintendo. Why don't they have more of these what you would consider mainline publishers putting out things on their system? I mean, given it's weird and it's kind of different from what's out there, but I think there's also a business aspect there that Nintendo has historically charged pretty high licensing fees, or if you want to make a game on our console, we're going to charge you for it, and we're going to make sure that it's up to our standards. It's a double-edged sword, but I think that they're probably ratcheting that up a little bit, and on their own stuff they can do that all they want because it's their IP.
Yeah.
And Nintendo doesn't really spend a lot of effort remastering their games. I mean, they kind of just port all the Wii games over and all of their previous games over and say, here you go. This is what you loved previously. There's a lot of developers. I mean, if you take a look at like the Master Chief Collection, which yes was a train wreck when it released, but that is fully remastered every single Halo game in one game.
With 2 having an even more substantial overhaul, all with their online modes.
Right, and they all have, I mean, you can hop between, in-game, you can hop between the original and the remaster version seamlessly, which is really cool. But, I mean, they put in a ton of effort into that, and I think Nintendo really does not put in any effort into their ports.
So
I would agree with that.
I think I know the answer, but I feel like I should ask it for like a recap's sake. Do we think there is any valid reason for this tax? Like, is it pro-consumer in the sense that if we didn't have this tax, you wouldn't have the games?
No.
Okay.
Well,
No,
law.
Zero.
Well, in a sense, maybe. I think that a valid reason may be that their profit margin is not as big as they would like it to be. And in a sense, that it's not from the consumer standpoint, but from Nintendo's standpoint, that's a valid reason to increase the price on your games. And you could argue that without the price increase, able to bring out as many ports. There's some validity to that, but it's kind of backwards. You know?
Yeah. Okay. So we all agree it's a bit of a stretch. Realistically.
Yeah.
But we went into
it's
the nitty
bullshit.
gritty. Okay. Do you guys have any other wrap up points, or we get to close it up? All right. Brian, close up that shop.
I'm having.
You're good.
It's working now.
Yeah.
It's working now. Well, if you're one of the, I'm sure, millions of consumers who are anxiously waiting to just give Nintendo the damn money and get on with their life.
Because we don't give them enough.
Well, I don't give them any, but that's a you problem. Go ahead and hammer your thoughts on that down in the word box there. And like Chris said at the beginning of the video, we will be giving out some Steam codes for every 10 subscribers. We do have a veritable shit ton of said Steam codes, so go ahead and click that sub button because you know you'll like our content, especially if you made it to this point in the video. And remember, guys, life can't be that bad when you got Belinda Carlisle on the radio. That's all for me tonight, Chris.
Thank you, Brian. We will catch you guys next time.